Hi there. I'm going to do a quick video on how to change out your mirrors on an R1150RT. This is if your mirrors have gotten loose or they've been damaged and you need to replace the mirror housing so that it can fit tighter onto the bike, which is a problem I'm having. So stay tuned, here's more. So here's the mirror we want to attack right here, and as you can tell it's kind of loose on there. It jiggles around, vibrates when the bike's turned on in idling or even at speed. So we want to get this thing off and get this changed. Now this is something you probably don't have on your bike. This is a PIA 910 light. It's mounted onto a specially made bracket here. Just ignore that. This comes off just the same way and goes on just the same way. The bracket's attached to the fairing here. Just uses the 3 posts that hold the mirror on. If you never had your mirrors off, you probably are looking at this thinking, how in the world do I get this off? It's really not that big a deal. Just take your hand, behind the mirror on the outside surface and bring it forcefully forward, and when you do that you're going to unsnap the 2 little rings that hold it, 2 of the 3 little rings that hold it on, the 2 in the back, so just like this. So that's out. And you can either pry here, or what I do is just kind of try and move the mirror a little further forward and just lever it out. Okay? The first thing you'll notice here is that it's pretty tightly tethered by the turn signal indicator. So just go ahead and snap that little guy out like that. I've got an additional thing here. I've got an extra set of LED lights mounted underneath here, so mine's tethered by that cord as well. You probably won't have that on your bike. But you can tell it's pretty dirty and nasty and grimy in there. Right in here, I don't know if you can see it, there's a nasty little bug that got squashed in there. We'll get him out of the way. You also may be able to tell I've got some missing little tabs on here. I think right here there's one that's missing completely. So that's why my mirror was loose. Unfortunately, there's no way to replace these 3 culprits right here, which are the things that kind of give up the ghost over time. The rings loosen up, the little, I call them like petals on a flower. Some of the little petals come loose and are broken, or if you're not careful when you put it back on, you'll squinch one of them in there on against the post here. So it's just a problem. So replacing the inside of this is no big deal. It's about a $100 part from BMW. It's a specialty part. You really can't find it anywhere else. You're just going to have to pay them the price. So this is the first step. Get the mirror off. The next step is we're just going to take out 1, 2, 3, 4 tiny little Torx screws, and we're just going to pull this thing out. It's going to take the mirror glass with it and leave the turn signal indicator inside there. And here's what things look like underneath here. You can't see very well because I've got this light bracket here, but basically you've got these 3 posts, 1, 2, 3, 2 in the back, 1 in the front, and those are what hold on to these little guys right here. So that's what makes it possible to stay attached. Okay, and I went ahead and took those 4 little screws out off camera so you didn't have to sit through that. And all we do is just pull this apart, just kind of a friction fit. You're going to come up with a piece of plastic, which is the mirror base. That's the part that's going to be replaced, this whole thing. We'll take the mirror out of there in a minute, so just set that aside. You'll have a nice assortment of dust and bugs and junk in there. This is the second time I recorded this. The first time a whole bunch of bugs fell out. And then you've got your turn signal indicator light there. It just kind of sits in a little groove, a little tab right here, holds that in, and one of those 4 screws we took out. So set that aside, and it's a good opportunity to clean up the mirror if you want to. Okay, so I've got the mirror base over here on the workbench. I've got my new part from BMW here. You'll notice there's no mirror attached to this. This part just came in a bag. That's the part number right here, 4663-2-352-121. And these, of course, are specific left and right. This is the left mirror. So in order to put this back on the bike, we're going to need to take the mirror glass and the adjuster assembly off of here. That's no big deal. Real easy. Just take a screwdriver. There's a little lip down inside here on the mirror adjuster part, and just simply pry a little bit. And what will happen is you'll move the mirror adjuster first, but then you'll actually see the glass kind of separate from the mirror adjuster. So there's 4 little tabs that hold this on. These 2 are the most easily visible here on this side. Let's go ahead and pop those loose, and there, now you can see that's loose. And what I do is carefully just kind of tilt the mirror the other direction without snapping that part back on. Kind of wedge my thumb in there a little bit. You want to be careful because you will potentially break the glass on your mirror if you lever on it the wrong way. And go ahead, and you can kind of see there's a tiny crack down in there. I can see what I need right there. Get that one out. And the last one might just pop out. Yeah, it just popped out on its own. So now I've got the mirror. I have these little convex mirrors on the outside of my mirrors just to show me the lane changes a little bit better on the interstate. So good idea if you want to put one of those on. They're pretty cheap. So now we've got this mirror adjuster, and it just simply, you know, moves back and forth so you can adjust your mirrors. The glass sits on that. If you ever break your glass, you don't have to take the whole mirror apart. You can just get in there and pop this little guy loose, especially if your glass is already broken. Just sacrifice it the rest of the way. Put some tape over it so it doesn't break into a million pieces and cut you, but just pop that out. Got a Torx T10 screwdriver here. Let's go ahead and take these screws out carefully here and save those. Okay, now we're just going to slide this thing back together. Be really careful. I just broke one of the plastic tabs off of this turn signal system here. They're pretty fragile. It's old plastic, so I could probably buy a new signal mirror if I wanted to for that, but I think it'll hold it in there just fine. So this is real simple. Just going to slide that back in there and kind of line it up. Make sure that tab goes on the inside, on the top, and on the bottom. There we go. Just kind of push it down in there, good and tight. Seals it up. We'll put those 4 screws back in. We're almost done. Okay, and I've got those 4 screws back in there pretty good. This is something extra that I do. I just take a little bit of this white lithium grease, and I kind of go around and just stick a little bit on those flower petals where the post goes in. Good idea to do that on kind of any friction fit body part that's pretty tight. Okay, and this goes back together real easy. Get it oriented the proper direction here. I've got some wires on the way. Go ahead and just pop your turn signal bulb back in there. It goes either direction. It's not very picky. Just tighten it up. Make sure your wires are good and tight there. I've got to go ahead and stuff this wire back in here for my LED turn signal and running lights. Go ahead and make sure I get that, and the wire to my PIA is in there just right. And this is going to be the hard part, getting it back on. Basically want to try and get everything aligned just right. Just kind of looking down from the side here. Get everything there. It's on, but not locked in yet. And what you want to do now is just take a really nice firm hit, you know, directly into the front post there and pop it in. Kind of adjusted my fit just a little bit. There, it popped in, locked in real tight. Make sure all my other wires are out of the way. And the next thing I'm going to do is just a really firm hit right here, directly in, and hopefully seat those other two pins. Make sure I didn't pop that one out. And I think we're good. You remember how much that was wiggling around at the beginning of the video, and it's on there good and tight and solid right now, so we're in good shape. That's it. So real easy fix. If your mirrors are loose, they're falling off when you go over railroad crossings or over bumps in the road, there's no excuse for that. Just go ahead and buy the parts. Quick, 20, 30-minute project at most. You can get both of them knocked out and be back on the road. Thanks for watching.